Hey everyone, this is DJ.
And this is Ish.
And this is
Season 7 of Better Let Me Tell You. I just hope she doesn't make any noise while we're recording.
The Hedgehog. I hope she does.
You know
Have
what?
you talked about the Hedgehog on the pod yet?
I have not talked about the Hedgehog on the pod, but you know what?
May we?
We are going to talk about her now on episode 304 as we're recording.
How could you not bring up the Hedgehog that is 1 foot behind you right now?
In all
A
fairness,
hedgehog.
You know, it's the weirdest thing. So listeners, welcome to Pero Let Me Tell You. As it's episode 304. As you can tell, that's not DJ, but
No.
we have with us filling in. Thank you so much again. From Deco Drive, Mr. Alex Miranda.
Thank you for having me.
No, thank you, man. Like, honestly, I always say that part of the fun of doing this is meeting people, and then the extra fun part of it is meeting people I like.
Yes.
And then inviting them back and you know, having a friendship and hanging out and all
Same.
that. So thank you for filling in. Yeah, so I
And thank you for being my new friend.
Well,
Yeah.
yes.
We've already gone out. We've had our drinks.
I was going to say,
Cebada and
we've already
Coral
hung
Gable.
out. We need to
Yeah.
do it more.
Yes, we do.
The problem is que entre luna y viernes, you're like, you know, super busy, man.
Literally. Yeah.
I mean, that's the life on the drive.
I just did the most Miami thing ever. Said literally when I meant.
No,
Actually, I didn't even forget. I just confirmed.
No,
Yes.
you meant literally because we're Miami boys.
Literally,
bro.
No, but I am literally a Miami. Actually, not even a boy. Miami man. So let's move on.
Listen, I'm going to be 45 in about a month. I'll take boy. Okay?
Okay. You're figuratively a Miami boy.
Yes. You know, in the mindset.
Yes.
In the mindset. But no, so the Hedgehog.
The Hedgehog. Can we talk about the Hedgehog?
The
I
Hedgehog.
am digging deep in my memory, and I'm thinking, have I ever seen a hedgehog in real life?
I'm
not sure.
I'm going to say no, you probably haven't, because I don't think anyone has.
No, not many people have.
Not really, no.
To the point where it was hiding before I really saw it. And
Yeah.
I thought, what does that... Because I know the cartoon, but what does the actual hedgehog look like? And yeah, I guess I sort of knew what it looked like, but it, has the little...
It's on 4 legs as opposed to 2. So, not blue.
Not blue.
Not blue. It looks kind of porcupine-ish.
A disappointment. I thought it was a porcupine.
I'm sorry that the hedgehog was a disappointment to you. So sorry.
No, it's very cute.
I'll tell my youngest nephew that he's like, so listen, there's a journalist I know who was very disappointed by your hedgehog.
It's adorable. I want to cuddle it, but not based on what it did when it hissed at me.
Well, she hisses. Yeah. She hisses. So I'm taking care of it. My youngest nephew, they're on vacation, so I was asked to hedgehog sit. I don't know. And so fine, I brought it over, and
Its name is Needles.
Needles is her name. Her name. I don't know if she's non-binary, so we gotta go with she.
Well, is she Sharon Needles' drag daughter? Is the real question.
She's actually. Well, damn, now I can't think of the puppet. Alaska's puppet.
Yes, that one.
I want to say bitch pudding, but I know it's not bitch pudding. Little pound cake.
Little Pound Cake.
Yes. She's actually Little Pound Cake's
That's
sister.
really her real name.
Yes.
Yeah, Little
She's
Pound
incognito. Doesn't want people to find her. It's
right.
Yeah. And who would, living in a cage in Coral Gables?
And she shares the same face as Little Pound Cake.
She does. Yeah. And you should see
And
when she gives
attitude.
the middle finger. You're not my real father.
But she has like 300 middle fingers on her body.
Yeah. So she's really upset about things.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Well, now that we've covered that.
So hedgehogs. Yeah, like I don't know how to transition out of a hedgehog, to be quite honest with you. Shit. There's no way to transition out of a hedgehog. Actually, but you know what? I've got one.
What?
I've got one, and I'm going to pride myself on...
I'm going to judge you on this transition. 1 out of 10.
Okay.
And let's see what it is. I'm going to give you an honest...
Do I get an extra point if I do it with a death drop at the end?
Yes.
Okay, but I'm not going to.
You can move up 3 spots
Coño,
on the scale with a
wow.
death drop.
You should be one of the judges on All Stars. So
Begging for that job.
So I... This is your audition for it. I didn't tell you. World of Wonder is funding this.
Thank you.
So I actually, last week, thought of you.
Oh?
Because
In your
I
dreams, or-
had my ham. Well, always. You're always there. You give me bad advice usually, but yes.
That's where I want to be.
Yeah. I had my first hosting gig.
Wait,
Yes.
where was the transition?
Yeah, well, you'll get there. We'll get there. So
okay.
we were talking about hedgehog, animal, and the hosting gig was for a dog show.
What kind of a dog show?
Well,
This sounds like a fun
see,
hosting
this
gig.
is where your gigs and my gigs differ. See, you had a gig at the Hard Rock. The last time we hung out, you think that weekend you had the gig at the Hard Rock for like it was I don't know if it was a corporate gig or like an auction. It was some charity. I don't know. It was something.
The Broward Health ball.
Yeah. Yes. And it was at Hard Rock and beautiful. And I saw pictures. You were looking dapper in a suit. There was the whole production, right?
Yeah, it's a great party.
My hosting gig was a dog show at the Palace Retirement Community in Kendall.
That's iconic. I can't even tell you. I can't top that. Was Sharon Needles there or
Lil Pound Cake?
Lil
Pound Cake was not there, but that's the transition. I'm thinking animals. So it was
true. You get
blast.
a 3 out of 10 on that transition.
It was a okay.
Animals.
I had to stretch, but it was there.
4. 4. Yeah, I'll give you that.
Creativity alone. It was a fucking blast.
I bet it was. Wait, so what were you judging?
Okay, so I didn't judge. I hosted.
Oh, hosting.
I hosted. I mean, I judged in my head, but not official capacity. So they partner with the Humane Society.
Okay.
And they have the residents, as well as family members of the residents, as well as employees bring their dog to work. And it started off actually as a bring your dog to work day, and it has since evolved into this whole event.
That's amazing.
So they have like this, like, how in elementary school you had like the cafetorium?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay. You know how they had the cafeteria, but it also had a stage?
In the cafeteria?
Yeah. What elementary school did you go to?
I went to 2. I went to Winston Park and Royal Green.
Okay, I went to Royal Palm. It's not the same one. But in elementary schools, most elementary schools, they have like a combination auditorium cafeteria.
Okay.
So it's a cafetorium.
Wow, I didn't have that, I don't think, in any of my schools.
You sound like
Seems like an odd concept. I
like to eat while I watch a show, so it works for me.
Hey.
Something like that is the space that we're working with, right?
Okay.
So I get in there and all of a sudden, like all these, older people show up. And let me tell you something. I cannot wait to retire and move into the Palace because as they're getting in, they're filling in, they're setting up at the back a full-on buffet.
But this is no relation to Palace Bar on South Beach.
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
Not that I'm aware of. I mean, some of those girls probably had the same wigs as the drag queens, but
because I'm really trying to investigate the pipeline between Palace Bar on Ocean Drive and then the Palace. What is this, a retirement community?
It's a retirement community. Yeah.
Because you can go from one to the other, I think, seamlessly.
I think we should figure out how to tie them together.
I don't think you have to figure it out. I think it's there.
I think that what we can do is at the Palace Retirement, they can, instead of a dog show, they can adopt a drag queen. Yes. And then the drag queen walks the dogs in the show.
Amazing.
Yes, we just created a whole new event. We'll talk about it for next year's Pride. But so the older people, the residents, not the older people, the residents.
Yeah, don't throw shade.
They don't listen. I hope to get there soon enough, or long enough. But you know what I mean. I don't want to die.
It would be a privilege.
There you go.
Exactly.
See, and that's why you're the professional, and not me. So they had bring their little dogs out. Their dogs had costumes. One of the dogs was dressed as a chicken. Another one was dressed like it was like a little
so it
chihuahua.
Wasn't like the cutest dog contest. It was the costumes.
No, so they just said bring your dog and dress them up however you want. So some of them had like little floral collars. One of them looked like he was just working out because he was wearing like a sweatshirt with a hoodie. And I was like, I am here for you.
Vibes?
Like, dude, I'll meet you at the gym afterwards. Let's hang out.
Right.
So
it's Gen Z for sure.
They have, and yet
Gen Z dog
retirement home. Then they had multiple categories.
Okay.
They had cutest, best costume, I think was one of them. Waggiest tail.
Mm-hmm.
The one that I called the dubious distinction award, which looks most like their owner.
Which is most.
Which I would say I would not want to win that one though.
Well, a lot of dogs are very cute and often look like it's actually crazy when you look, because I think the reason why that's a truth is because we are drawn to animals that we feel a familiarity with, we have a connection with.
Okay.
And oftentimes I think you see like the dogs that are very sort of, the pit bulls, all that, their owners are also kind of a little bit, rough, like very,
right.
You get what I'm saying.
Right.
And then, so they just, I don't know, there's a crossover.
I hear what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
I know what you're saying is true. I don't want to win that award. I don't want to be told que yo parezco un perro. Like, that's just...
But what if it's a Pomeranian?
But then the judges are
What if
blind.
it's a
'cause
Bernese Mountain
I
Dog?
don't have that much hair as a Pomeranian does. Which, by the way, I know your hair growth journey.
Yes.
You know, now we're talking. Brief segue. Your hair is looking fantastic.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
It's on the way. I think I have 6 more months. I'm
Okay.
going to be full. I don't know what. I don't know what the goal is.
But it's looking
Mohawk,
wonderful. It's looking wonderful, and I'm glad that the journey is still happening for you. Yes. So yeah, no, it was so fun, and again, you did pop in my head because as I was hosting it, I was like, how would Alex do this? I'm not blowing smoke up your ass. I'm like, this would be the type of thing that Alex would be like,
Live
sure,
for.
I'll do it. And then show up with the camera, film a segment for Deco.
Just for the gag.
So I was kind of trying to, to bring out my inner Alex Miranda. So
If you're not
thank
exaggerating,
you.
I'm flattered. I mean, that's
No, I'm not
really
exaggerating at
cool
all.
to think that you
Like,
actually were channeling.
You literally were in my head, and I was like, okay, like WWAD, right? Like, what would Alex do? And I tried
it.
to just like improv it through. And again, it's dogs. Like, what do they say? Don't work with children or animals.
No, I love working with children and I love working with animals.
Oh, yeah.
They have the best answers, reactions. I mean, I'm talking to pets too. Like, there's always just something spontaneous. You never know what's going to happen.
At all.
And with kids and with pets.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's the reason why people say don't work with them. That's the reason why I love working with them. Kids say the funniest things. And pets
As somebody
forget
who's
it.
been a substitute teacher, yes, I agree
yeah.
with you. And now
They're so
I've
honest.
hosted a dog show. So yeah. but
So
it
who
was so
won
much
the
fun.
cutest? Like, which was your favorite?
So my favorite actually won. So the main prize was best in show, best
Mm-hmm.
overall, which was a dog named Chucky, and he had like tremendo underbite, which I thought was adorable. I was like, okay, that's cute. But then I liked Goose, which was the one in the sweatshirt with the hoodie.
Okay.
Millie had a lovely floral collar. Millie was walked by her owner, who you could tell was really invested in that collar.
Yes.
Yeah, like
They want to get their money's worth. They came to win.
she was like like stage mother, but with a dog.
Oh, that happens.
Yeah, like-
Westminster Dog Show. Actually, I have a friend of mine is very high up in the Westminster Dog Show world.
I can't imagine.
Very, very high up. So I hear all the insides about the whole thing. It's fascinating.
At this level, it was it was a local show, and it was lovely, and I hope they invite me back for that one or any other shows. But I can't imagine that at a bigger scale, because they had the dogs in like a little room off to the side, but they couldn't have all the dogs in there together because some of the dogs didn't get along with each other, and
Right.
so I can't imagine it at the scale of a Westminster, right? Where I know these dogs are supposed to be like trained and all this,
Yeah.
but it's an animal.
Right.
At the end of the day, I mean, you can only control them so much, I would imagine.
Was there a poop moment?
There was not.
Good.
There was a pee moment,
Oh, okay.
but it was in the green room.
Okay, that's fine.
And that's where all celebrities do it. So that's fine.
Okay, so am I getting an invite to this dog show next year?
I'm gonna finagle one for you. Like
Okay, good.
I'm literally gonna tell you that whenever I have to do another dog show, I even told them, I'm like, are you guys doing a cat show? I'll show up for that too. Like, I'm not a cat person per se, but this was great.
Excuse me, says the one who walked in with cat hair on his shirt. The masochist here who deals with that 24 hours a day. Yeah, I love cats.
Which, to your credit, I do not see any fur on the shirt. So.
Yeah, I did actually change before.
Oh, okay.
I was like skipping that part, but
So yes, so that's where we're, that was my, I wanted to specifically share the story, but then again, I really did think of you. Like, I'm not blowing smoke up your ass. Like,
okay.
yes.
So tell me, what were your conclusions on hosting an event in person? Was this your first real
Yeah.
MC?
Yeah. It was
situation?
a paid gig. So yeah.
Paid gig.
Yeah,
All
yeah,
right.
yeah.
So what worked, what didn't work for all the host people out there who want to get into this?
Here's what I would say: if you have an opportunity to host and you can do something like a dog show or an animal, something involving animals, do it, because that's the deep end of the pool. Because it's one thing to host, like, let's say a beauty pageant, right? Where everybody, it's a person, they're going to walk up, they're going to be polished, and they're going to wave and smile and answer and walk off stage, right?
I love those.
Oh, well,
It's
yeah,
so
likewise.
fun.
I mean, hello, happy Pride. But to do this with an animal situation, like, there were some dogs that halfway through just sat down and were like, and I'm done.
And they're done.
And then you still
They gave us enough. They served.
They served, and then they were done. And you still have to keep talking, right? Like that's the thing. And then they gave like little descriptors of the breed and what their hobbies were and this and that. Here's the problem: almost all of them said like they love their family, they love to give kisses, and I'm like, there's only so many variations I can do on that. Right. So I had to start literally just looking at the dog and what are they doing and what are they wearing and how is it? And I just started like building off of that. And so you really are flying without a net. It's 100%. As prepared as you ask to be, as much info as you have in front of you. It's a nice starting point. But that all goes out the window at a certain point. You just kind of have to keep going and the show's got to keep moving. The judges took forever. So that meant that I had to keep vamping. Meanwhile, while they were judging, 20 dogs were on stage barking and playing with each other. And I'm still on the mic trying to gather that circus together. So I would do it again in a heartbeat. But that would be my suggestion. If that's what you get as a first one and you're hesitant, do it.
Yeah. I've had to fill in, half an hour with
God.
nothing. Yeah.
Give me all the stories.
And woo, child. And the, I don't know what it is about the, beauty pageants, but, called, scholarship programs more often these days. But there's always some kind of issue. It's like Steve Harvey style with the results. Like there's just always something. And I've done enough of them that I can tell you, like, it happens almost every time.
Really?
And one of them that I've done before, the results came back. We crowned, and it turns out the results were wrong. So then we went back, and then they did the result. I'm not calculating the results. I'm just on stage dancing, to fill time.
Okay, but you're the one que tiene que pasar el más rato.
Oh, yeah. And then we went back, and I'm saying we, but it's really them, went back and recalculated. I don't know what the problem was the first time. And then, we get the answers. All right, great. So now we're like, oh, whoopsies, sorry. And so we tell everybody again, who is the winner? Who's the first runner-up? Who's the second runner-up? And we were talking scholarship money.
I die.
And then it turns out it was wrong again.
No way.
So we went back. And then we got it right. And that was a real test in hosting a live event. Because everybody's so invested in these results.
Oh, there's money involved.
Yeah, well, it's also the family members. Everybody's so proud of their daughter, their sister, their friend. And I'm on the stage and I'm so proud of these girls. I've been watching their talents. They've been answering the questions. I'm invested in who's going to win, who's going to get first runner up. I mean, I want to. And so, yeah, but they're always fun. They're always fun. And I love doing them. Any beauty pageants out there, please call me. I love hosting
these. Time. I can't believe 3 times they had to go back to that well.
It's a lot of math.
That's why
I'm assuming.
Look, hire me to do the hosting, but don't hire me to be the accounting firm that does the thing.
Right.
No.
I don't want to do the thing.
No, you would have totally had a Moonlight La La Land situation all over again. All over again. So I wanted to bring up briefly, I know we're going to careen between silly and not so. I know everybody in June talks about Pride Month. Mm-hmm. And rightfully so, we should. Actually, part of the reason I wanted you to be this week and end it is so that, 2 gay men ending Pride Month together. Yeah, exactly. Hi, gay. There's actually rainbows all around us coming out of Needle's cage. But it's also...
Is Needles queer?
I haven't asked her.
Well, you should.
I haven't asked her.
Because she should be involved in Pride as well.
She really should. I have to probably look inside her little den to see if she has a flag up there.
Or put one in there.
And which one it is. I don't want to force that upon her either.
That's true.
Her identity is her own.
Exactly.
Yes, absolutely. Hear that? That's the sound of time just passing by while you wait. And wait. To see your doctor for a medical appointment. Now hear that? That's the sound of you walking into Dr. Goodprice and being seen by a professional for that same medical consultation in about 30 minutes. And that's not even the best part. At Dr. Goodprice, a medical consultation is only $35. No insurance, no weird copays that never cover everything, just $35 and minimal wait time. If only keeping a cholesterol in check was this easy, huh? Medical care is important, but it shouldn't be at the cost of your time and money. Dr. Goodprice believes everyone should be able to get affordable medical care on your time. Visit drgoodprice.com today for more info and services. But June is also Men's Mental Health Awareness Month.
I didn't know that until you told me.
And really,
Yeah.
see, and that's one of the reasons I wanted to bring it up. Number one is because we're very big on this show about being mental health advocates.
Yeah.
But also, like I was saying, it's Pride Month, and I think this happens all the time. This happens. It's not because of Pride. There's always multiple awarenesses or events or causes in any given month, and there's always going to be one or two that just kind of rise to the top for whatever reason. Not that one's better or worse, but when I really found out that June was Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. That's a mouthful.
One more time. Go.
June is Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. The third time's a charm. Look like your beauty pageant.
Right.
I was like, this needs to get some awareness. This needs to be brought up, and people need to know about it for two reasons. Number one, I think just generally speaking, men were not very good with the mental health. We're not good at admitting that we suffer these things. That I'm not even talking about like necessarily the deep, the more serious end of the spectrum, like your depression and all that, but we're just not good at acknowledging our feelings sometimes. Mm-hmm. And I think then that layered with being Latino men, mm-hmm. where you're really not supposed to show your feelings, it's going to weigh down. And it's something that I think we all need to be very, very aware of, that this exists. I actually heard about it on a podcast where Kevin Smith, of all people, was talking about his mental health. Because a couple of years back, I think it was maybe last year, he checked himself into a psychiatric facility because he had a complete break from reality.
I've been there. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's what, and I kind of wanted to, I mean, we can go as deep or as personal as we feel comfortable, but, is that something that you have found and also I think just with what you do, there's a lot of pressure, right? It's like, just keep going, just keep going, just keep going, to bury any mental health challenges. And I'm not even going to say like how big or small, right? Because that's the beauty of mental health, is that it's what factors and impacts you, right? What may seem tiny to one person is huge to another, and who the hell am I to say, oh, don't worry about it, that's nothing? Well, no, it's something to me. But have you found that to be the case, that as a Latino male, mental health is something that no te preocupes, eso no, that doesn't really...
By the same token, I feel like almost because we're Latino, maybe we are more expressive about... I mean, in general, I feel like if we're going to talk in stereotypes, I feel...
stock and trade, let's go.
I'm just going to speak at the literal stereotype level, mm-hmm. that Latino men are, in the cartoon version, more expressive than maybe white men.
Okay, but define expressive.
Expressive. So, yeah, that I don't know what that means, but...
right, because that could just mean that we're louder, but are we really... expressing our feelings?
And that I am.
No, you and I are two shrinking violets. That's why we...
But I don't know. I always push back at the concept that, like, Latino people are one way, or white people are the other way, or black people are one way, or whatever group.
But I think mental health does have a stigma outside of quote-unquote white people.
There's a stigma everywhere. I mean, just with men in general, I think... Men have privilege, right? We know that. Men have privilege in many areas of life, but one area that we don't have privilege in is this department, because, at least the way that I view it, we are, from a very young age, told that feelings are weakness, mm-hmm. and we have to push through, we have to power through, and there are many positives to that too, like being strong, pushing through, powering through. There's a lot of good that comes from that, but there's also bad that comes from that. And for a lot of men, especially men who have issues that need to get resolved, problems that need to be healed, if they never address them, they just build, or they just stay there. And that can become a really toxic energy within, ourselves. And then you mm-hmm. see that manifest in domestic violence. You see that manifest against in just violence in general.
I mean, substance abuse.
Substance abuse, 100%. And so I feel for men in that department. I feel like maybe even as a gay man, I'm more societally allowed to talk about my feelings, I guess, than straight men are. So they're viewed, I think kind of maybe weaker if we're going to really generalize there. And I don't know. I think it's very important for people to open up. I think it's very important for men to open up. I talk, I mean, everything that I feel, I say. And so I think the issue with me, the reason why all of my mental health issues didn't really start coming to the surface until a certain point in my life, which was about 4 years ago, 4.5 years ago, something like that, is just because I didn't realize I had them. I mean, I thought I was as happy as a clam. And I moved back to my hometown, and I didn't realize that there were so many things that I had just put into a little box and moved into the basement. And they all came back without me giving consent. I wasn't like, I'm going to go on a mental health journey now. And
Nope.
No, they came and I had no choice but to deal with them because it was just all popping up. But I will say, and we talked about this a little bit when I was on the podcast before, but it was the hardest time of my life, and years and years and years in. I mean, I had to go back and just like relook at everything. And just for me, a lot of it was just growing up gay and realizing how many insecurities I had over that, which was for me so odd because
You didn't think you did.
I didn't think I did. I mean, I always thought that I was like the well-adjusted one. Like I was the lucky one. My parents have been great. Right. And so, but that's not necessarily, it doesn't matter often because you still have so many feelings of lack of worth and all of that just from the messaging that you get from when you're a little child all the way through when you're an adult. And I think for a lot of people, there's just a period of time in our lives when we start reaching midlife. Doesn't matter if you're gay, straight, man, woman, or anything non-binary, anything in between. We just start looking back at the first half of life and going, wait, hold on.
Why did this happen?
What was that?
Yeah.
Who was that? Is that really me? And I have my second life coming up, and how do I want to live it? So I think there's just beautiful period that gets really ugly sometimes with people who are not living authentically, that you get that opportunity to reassess. And so that happened with me, and it got really, really, really bad. To be honest, I mean, I tell this to people all the time, like without any sort of hesitation, but I'm glad I made it through. I mean, I was very suicidal. I mean, very, like, scary, like very, very scary.
Like ideating and...
Oh, yeah. Like, I mean, there was a point where it's so interesting because you when you're suffering from really, really just horrible depression, you get very used to seeing yourself from outside yourself because you're already just so removed. You're removed from life in general. And life starts to feel like it's a movie, like you're separate from it. And I remember thinking that I wouldn't... by the way, that sound in the back is
I was gonna say,
Needles the Hedgehog.
I love that as we got into like the most serious part of the show, right?
That's
like,
so me.
And then the hedgehog decides to come out and start drinking water. Like this is you know what? Nothing would have been better, quite honestly.
Honestly, because I've always been in my life high and low. I love the best, and I love a steak from Ruth's Chris, and I love my McDonald's chicken nuggets, and I love them equally. So I always love the great Oscar award-winning film and Romeo and Michelle's high school reunion. So it's like, for me, that's...
Okay, so that's what we're doing after we were done with this.
Exactly. Yeah. But Needles wanted to join the conversation. I think Needles might...
Needles has thoughts on mental health, yes.
Have some mental health issues, concerns that she wants to tackle. But
she wanted to show her support by actually coming out of her cave.
But I remember thinking... very objectively, with no emotion, no, I don't even know what
like
word I'm looking for.
Like no stake in the game.
Yeah, like no tears, no anything. Just going, okay, well, if I did, I'm sorry, trigger warning, but I'm using.
Oh, we've never done
words
that
very,
on this show before. Trigger warning.
I'm using words that are very, very triggering. But if I did do that, and this will never leave me because I think, oh my God, how crazy is this idea that I would even think this? And I said, if I did kill myself, it would be so horrible to my family. And it would be, I was thinking about, not about, maybe you shouldn't do that. Maybe this would be bad also for you. But I was thinking, wow, man, this would just like ruin so many lives and so many generations of lives. And I was thinking, oh man, I work on TV. I mean, that would be kind of like a thing, and that would just be so horrible. My parents don't deserve that. They don't, they've worked so hard. They've worked so hard to make me a happy, well-adjusted child. I mean, my parents are amazing.
But you never thought about you in that equation.
No, I wasn't thinking about myself at all. I mean, I was such an afterthought because but I mean, anybody who's ever been in that place probably knows exactly what I'm talking about. I mean, you are just so removed from yourself. I mean, that's the only reason why you would ever think of doing harm to yourself, because when you are one with yourself, when you love yourself, you would never do anything to hurt yourself. But obviously that means that you don't love yourself at the time, which means that you're not you're not one with yourself. And so those were the reasons why I likely didn't do it. Maybe I wouldn't have done it, but that was what I was thinking at that time. And I thought also, and especially in hindsight, wow, thank goodness I had a reason to live. I mean, and I thought,
even if it was external,
because I was thinking, for people who don't have a support system, for people who don't have people who they would just want to stick around for, I just saw that there was that little I was on a seesaw and it could go one way or the other, and it was like the tiniest little things that kept me on one side. And if you don't have those things, it could go one way or the other. And so I'm very happy that I made it all the way through. I did a lot of hard work, a lot of ugly work, and just really got in there. And I'm very, very grateful. Oh my gosh. I mean, I'll just look around and I'm like, oh my God, life is so beautiful. I'm so lucky. And then what's so crazy is that when I was suffering from depression, the people in my life would be like, Ale, you live an amazing life.
Doesn't matter.
Look at you. You're on TV and you interview celebrities. You literally have fun for a living. You have a family that loves you. You have friends who love you. And I'm like, I know, but
doesn't matter.
I can't factor these two things together, but they both happen at the same time. And what's so amazing is that now I see all those things again. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm so lucky. I'm so lucky. And I have so much compassion. I have so much compassion for people who have mental health struggles, and especially those who are in deep, dark depression, because that place, and I'm sorry if we're talking about this way too long. But
no, listen,
we'll never shut up about
no. There's no length of time for stuff like this. Like you take all the time you want, because you know what? You don't know who's out there listening and is going to hear this, and it could trigger them to get help or get help for someone they love. So you take all the time you need.
That place is so lonely. Oh my goodness. It's just so lonely. I mean, I just felt so alone. Even though I had people around me everywhere. Yeah. And yeah, you're at war with yourself. I mean, I would wake up and think to myself, oh God, I have to live another day. Oh gosh, now I have to get through this one more time. And it's just the energy that it takes to get out of bed. Oh, when you are in that place is monumental. And then you have to go to work. And then you have to...
And you literally have to be on.
Oh yeah, I've got to be on.
But that's the thing.
But that was actually, believe it or not, even though that on occasion was very, very difficult, believe it or not, that was such a great thing because it got me out. I mean, it
at least temporarily
for 8 hours a day got me out, and then I would go back in my hole, but then it got me back out of the hole. So I really was so grateful for the job, believe it or not. And it took a lot to get out of bed, but then once I did and once I was at work, it was great because then I could just kind of be normal again. But yeah, so for anybody who's listening who has been in that place, trust me, I have been there. Oh, it is so bad. It's so bad. It's so hard. It's difficult. I'm here. I'm validating what you're going through, because when you're in it, you feel like nobody understands. Because oftentimes the people around you don't understand. So you're getting that idea sort of mirrored back to you, but people understand. And I stuck through it. I pushed through it. I'm so glad that I did. Do that too. There are many people out there who love you, and above all, you love yourself. You don't feel that right now, but you love yourself. What's happening is that, at least for me, I'll just speak to my experience.
Of course.
What was happening, so the reason why I wasn't loving myself was because I wasn't being myself. And so, to put it in terms that might make a little bit more sense, if you meet a stranger on the street, okay, you don't love them. They're there.
Right. Yeah.
Right? They're there. Okay. And if something happens to that person, well, you didn't know them for good or for bad. I mean, okay. Now, if somebody who you know and love walks down the street, okay, you love that person. And if something happens to that person, you're going to be very upset. Mm-hmm. Well, when you are so disconnected from who you are and you're not living an authentic life to what you should be living, it's almost like you're that stranger. And that's why you're sort of numb to yourself. Mm-hmm. Because you don't know yourself. And I felt like I was just living a life that wasn't me. And I realized that all of my coping mechanisms that I had developed as a kid, dealing with, okay, well, I guess I'm going to have to move through this world in a different way, because I feel like if I tell people who I really am, I'm going to get rejected. And so you kind of develop this, I don't know, persona. Yeah. And so you live that, and it's really your friend for a while because it keeps you safe. So there's really a beauty in it. It's armor, and it's there to keep you safe. But at a certain age, it no longer, the weight of that armor is too heavy, and your inner spirit, your soul, whatever you want to call it, that's in you, your actual self, wants to finally live, wants to get out, and so that's when the armor gets too heavy and it wants to drop it. But the thing is, that's what we use to make us feel safe. And so we're uncomfortable dropping it, because then we're vulnerable for the first time in our lives. I mean, a lot of,
and that's hard.
That's very hard. And so there's that period, that tussle between using the armor that has kept you safe your whole life, but then living a life that's actually authentic and real and vulnerable and deep and beautiful. Well, those two things don't coexist. You have to go from one side of the bridge to the other, and that bridge is a very scary place. And for me, it was a very scary place, but I made it over the bridge. You will too. And life is beautiful, believe it or not, on the other end, because I know it doesn't feel like it. I thought that there was going to be no way I could ever be happy again. Ever. I mean, ever. I thought, that's it. This is life. It sucks. It's awful.
Just got to deal with it this way.
I was like, I have no interest in... I was like, you're telling me another 40 years of this? I mean, I could barely take another hour of it. And that's, yeah. And so get help. Talk to your friends who you trust, your family members who you trust. Always keep them on, not that anybody has speed dial, but you know what I'm saying. I'm like, whoa, 90s kid here. But keep them at a very close distance. And whenever you're feeling those feelings, just go to their house, hang out with them, be in a place with someone else. Don't just be by yourself. You can't trust yourself. So go be with people who you can trust, and get help and get in there. There's a reason why you're not feeling good. Mm-hmm. And so just getting in there when it's safe, because sometimes it's a little too much to get in there. Right. And start working on that.
What would you say is an early warning sign? And I'll say early warning sign because obviously by the time you have suicidal ideation, I feel like that's further down the path, right? Like you may not have realized you were heading down that path, right? Yeah. What would you say is, again, for our listeners who may be experiencing this or know somebody, would be like an early, and this is so unexpected, by the way. Like I didn't know we were going to go down this path, but thank you for thank you for sharing with us, because I mean our whole motto here is listen, laugh, and learn, and we've we're doing all three.
We got to get another joke in here.
We got to get, well, Needles went back in her cage. So she's not helping us out this time. But what would you say is like maybe an early, I don't want to say, I guess warning sign for lack of, just for lack of a better word, that if they are starting to feel this way, maybe that's a sign that they should at least talk to a friend, right? Like maybe you're not ready for a professional yet, but maybe seek out your close friend and say, hey, something's happening. From your experience, of course.
That from my experience, and there were so many different things, because a lot of this was kicked off by the end of this very long friendship / relationship that I had with a very special person who I love. We love him, but that wasn't the thing that caused this.
Right.
That being gone was the thing that forced me to finally
confront,
because I finally was alone for the first time in my life, really. And so, there was a lot mixed in there. But I started to act a little, I don't know, like a little just erratic. I mean, I was dating somebody after that, and great guy, and I was even watching my own behavior with him, being like, no, why can't you just be normal? Like, why are you so weird sometimes? And he would be like, well, you're so hot and cold. And I was just being a little unpredictable, just not, not that same steady, predictable, Ale. But then I think when depression really starts kicking in, I think a lot of people feel this is more general, not specific to mine, but people just start to not feel so amused with their life. Like the things that normally make them happy, whether that's, oh, I love going on a hike, or I love seeing this friend, or I love to go to the movies. Those things just don't bring the joy anymore. And so it starts with a little bit of a confusion, like, hey, wait, why? It ain't hitting. Like, it's just not hitting the same way that it hits. And I think for many people, because I've talked to, many friends who have also suffered from depression, that, at least from what I've heard, that seems to be a little bit of a thread that ties through a lot. People tend to live a life in a way that they know, and then it's almost like the volume starts getting turned down. And then for me, it was like the volume just kept getting turned down. Everything just felt more flat, more gray. Just the highs weren't so high, not even the lows were so low. Just kind of more feeling very
I mean, you said the word flat, and I think that's
flat.
That's
And then, but that flat line starts to go downhill, and so you just zone out. You feel like a zombie.
Okay.
You feel like a zombie. Ooh, that's it. Yeah, you feel like a zombie, and then that flat line just keeps going down and down and down and down and down, and you need to get help. You need to get help. And for me, and this is, again, just specific to my case, everybody's depression is different, and the levels of it are different, and also what is causing it, or the many things that are causing it, is different. But for me, I think what really helped was being enormously curious about why I was depressed. And I've also talked to people, but I'm a journalist.
It's your nature.
And so it's my nature. So I'm thinking, wow, this is odd. Let me ask questions. Let me find answers. So I just became, I feel like I have a bachelor's degree in mental health at this point. I would just obsessively Google, ask questions, watch YouTube videos. I would read books. So many things helped me, and they all represented like the one thing that really helped me that month. And then I got this great idea out of this book, or I got this great concept or quote out of this video, or whatever it was. And it started to connect the dots, and I started answering questions, because for me, I wouldn't have been satisfied if I didn't know what was going on with me. And for me, it all boils down to feeling like I don't have the license to just live my own life. I'm just very trained to be, let me give myself agency back. I chose to approach what I felt was threats in life, being a young gay little boy, I chose to take the people pleaser route. It
As
probably
so many
just
of us do.
works. Yeah, it probably just worked with my natural personality. I'm good at it because I'm an empathetic person as is. And so I've lived a life where I have become, a whiz at just scanning the room for threats. And if I can feel people's needs, that also is what makes me pretty decent at interviewing people. I can sense where they're at, where they want to go, but that was a survival tactic as a kid. And okay, not literally, but you know what I'm saying?
But that's how you perceive it. I mean,
Right, and so, okay,
literal. Literal is in the eye of the beholder.
Right. When you're on the playground or you're in middle school and you're walking down the hallway and there's the bully and the guy who you know is about to come after you because he knows you're gay, he's already picked that one up and you just don't want to get beat up. You also don't want to be socially ostracized because as a child, that is the ultimate rejection. That is...
To have no friends is like the worst thing.
The worst. Yeah. And so... You develop all of these. And so for me, it all kind of goes back to that and feeling like I can't just be me. And so that year after year after year after year after year becomes living a life that is not authentic to you. And you get to your midlife and go, wait, hold on. I've been pleasing other people this whole time. When is it my turn? And that's when the depression starts kicking in. Like, maybe I should say no sometimes, or maybe I should.
Isn't that hard?
Very. It's getting easier for me.
Hard. Oh no,
it's getting easier for me every day. And then, do you want to hear one concept that I love? Are you ready for this?
As you get older, it gets easier to say no.
Yes.
Or if you're doing it right.
I didn't realize emotionally until the last year that it is okay to have an interaction with another human being and for them not to like me at the end of it.
Oh, but I don't like that. I know it's okay, but I'm not.
That concept to me is foreign.
I need to be liked, and it comes to the people pleaser thing, right? So yes, I know there are people out there who don't like me. They're wrong,
right? And so you want to convince them and it becomes a game.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I can tell that you don't like me, but if I do this or say this, or if I show up for you in this way, or if I validate this part of your personality, or then I can win you over, and then if I win you over, I can then emotionally remind myself, yes, I actually am enough because this person who is hard to convince, finally,
I won.
And so it's this like total waste of time.
It really is.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah. So I want people to not like me. I love it now. I say no. And those are the things that have really helped me get out of the hole.
Which is why we're doing this show, to just start a whole campaign of people to hate you. That's why you agreed to do this show. It's the secret weapon of it all. But no, seriously, I mean, thank you for sharing that. Like like I said earlier, I didn't expect we were going to go down this path, and I'm glad we did. I'm glad we did. Also, I'm glad you're still here to have this conversation with us.
Me too.
Because it's funny, I've said this before, like, when I interviewed you, had you on the show before, and afterwards it was just like, I like you. Like, we clicked. It was
I don't want you to like me anymore.
It's like, what, and it's done. I'm going to throw a glass of whiskey in his face. But no, but it's like, again, and as you get to be an adult, it's like to find people who you genuinely, because you realize you don't have to have everybody like you, and you can get along with people without liking them or having them like you, vice versa. But it's like when you click with that person, it's like, oh, wait a minute, it can still happen as a grown-up, right? Like as a an adult or whatever, you can still click with somebody and just hang out and be cool with them. And so that's thank you. I just want to say thank you for still being here, and
thank you very much.
I appreciate that we actually get to hang out.
Me too.
That's a long way around the bush. I have no idea.
What funny transition do you have out of that?
I was gonna say,
if you can give me one
idea how to transition out of that. But here, I'm gonna try. So you mentioned, I think I can do this. So you mentioned compartmentalizing.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
Compartmentalizing. And you know who else is
very good at that?
You know who else is compartmentalizing just in terms of his children is Elon Musk.
Oh yeah, that's a mess.
He just had baby number 12.
Yeah. So is he raising these children? Or I know he's
I think that's
not
what AI
raising
is
his
for.
trans child, but is he raising his children?
I don't know anymore. Honestly, he probably just puts them on X. I don't know what Elon Musk does anymore. You know, he has self-driving cars. Maybe he has self-driving children.
They get like a free, blue check.
Exactly.
That's
That's what they get. That's it. That is your inheritance.
Not a Tesla, but
just a blue check. And really, what has more currency? But what I find fascinating about him is that do you know why he has so many children?
No, actually.
Okay, so he has multiple children with multiple women, right? I think he's got the 12 kids he's got with at least 3 women or something like that. Nick Cannon's still the champion. But
Is this midlife crisis? How old is he? Siri?
Yeah, if I had her activated, she would have popped up. Elon Musk, I don't know how old he is, but he subscribes to this theory that the world is underpopulated and we must all do our part to make sure that the population stays at a certain level.
Okay, that to me sounds like a great excuse for just having sex.
I was going to say for raw dogging.
Yeah. And finding some holier than thou excuse for maybe not investing in
condoms.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I don't know. I mean, just based on I don't idolize the guy. I don't even like the guy. But based on I try to avoid Elon Musk information, but because I just don't like a lot that I hear. I mean, his Twitter is sometimes vile.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he says or insinuates.
That's worse.
And dog whistles some really disgusting crap.
Yeah.
And so I don't have respect for that at all.
I just find him fascinating insofar as I think up until maybe when he did SNL, most people may have at most been indifferent to him, right? There were some people who really liked him, thought he was a genius and that, but I think the general public was kind of like, yeah, it's that rich guy. Okay, we're indifferent.
Right, yeah.
And then he bought Twitter.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, it was just you were talking about how the volume got turned down. It turned way up to, what is it, Spinal Tap? It turned it to 11.
Twitter's an ugly place these days,
Twitter?
in my opinion. I open it up.
In ours as well.
Yeah, it's
the
just
fact that
gross.
The fact that we still call it Twitter, even though it's called X.
Oh,
No, but I love that. That
X.
This guy, he bought a company that had equity and decided, I'm going to change the name to rebrand and we're a new thing. And people were like, no, it's still Twitter and we're still going to call it a tweet. We're still going to
I try to say X. I mean, because, I try to, it's X now. So I try to, but I forget.
It's instinct. It's a reflex.
And so, but X. I don't know. I see a lot of, to be honest, I mean, I open it up. What I find so odd is that I actually at one point in my mental health journey, I had unfollowed every account that I follow on X. And I just wanted a clean slate. Mm-hmm. It's already the whole political discussion, just in any place, whether it's cable news or on a social media site, it's just so toxic. And so I was like, let me clean this out. I'm going to post my stuff, and it is what it is. So I don't follow anyone. Okay?
Really?
So this actually factors into what I'm about to say.
Still,
I don't follow anyone. So the algorithm is not really basing anything off of anything. Yet when I open X, all I see are the same 15 people who, 14 out of 15 I had never heard of before this change from Twitter to X. Mm-hmm. And it's just this constant stream of dog whistles, things that just are a little too racist sounding for me and definitely homophobic. And I'm thinking, so this is the neutral ground now?
Right. This is what they want you to. This is what they're using to draw you in.
Right. Okay. I mean, so I'm like, I don't even know who you are. But I see these people pop up all the time as if I follow them, and I don't even follow them.
And it's always the same.
It's the same
people, a handful of accounts.
Yeah. I mean, you're probably seeing the same ones that I'm seeing.
No, because I follow some accounts. I'll share which ones I follow later.
Yeah, but libs of TikTok. All of this, that pops up. I hadn't even heard of that account until it kept getting forced onto me.
And now your algorithm just feeds it to you.
And all that account does is make LGBTQ people seem like criminals. And it's just awful. And so, no, thank you.
No, you're not wrong. I mean, we on this show are infamous for saying that Twitter, X, whatever, is the cesspool of social media. And to your point, the more outrageous and outlandish and just vitriolic the things you say, that's what unless you follow people, right? And then they know your algorithm and that's what they're going to serve you, because those are the people who already have so many people interacting, because again, everybody nowadays has to have an opinion. If you have an opinion and you take to X or TikTok or Facebook or Instagram, whatever, inevitably you're going to get people who support you saying yay, yay, rah, rah, but then you're going to get the people who don't. And now your comment section just becomes a flame war between them. So what happens? Now you've got 6 million people just bickering at each other. And now that's the most engaged tweet on the platform, and you're going to get served it.
Which explains the world that we live in today. Everybody feels crazy these days, and it's because of the algorithms.
Yeah.
I mean, everything's just going to the extreme because that's just what works on social media.
So it brings in advertisers.
Right.
And I say that as somebody in marketing.
But now that we've all woken up to that, I think it's kind of time for all of us to start wising up to it.
Do you think we will? Do you think we will? Or do you think people have just
taken a back step from... I mean, I do a lot of posting, but
there's also an element of, your work, right? So, you post personal things, like with your cat and vacation.
I post very positive things.
No, you do. You're very positive. I mean, but you also post a lot because it is part of your job. I mean, realistically speaking, when you're at a junket or you're at an event or whatever, and you're promoting the segment and this and that. So it makes sense that you are posting as often and the content, right? Because, and again, you're not working in like Gaza, so your content is not necessarily something that's very dramatic and divisive.
I mean, I really like Instagram. I have to take a step back from it. Like, I tried to delete it. I download it when work starts. I post, and then I might scroll during work. And then when work is over, I delete it. So instead of opening it and closing it, I delete it and re-download it so that I'm not tempted. Right. So that I'm not tempted to scroll my personal life away, which is so easy to do. And I can tell you that because I've done a lot of that. And so
Girl, today I was on Instagram and it was like, you've already looked at everything on your personal accounts that you follow. They were like, we can show you
to go to bed.
They were like, we can show you older things if you'd like. And I was like, you know what? No, it's time to put it down and walk away, because that means I've been on there way too much today.
It disturbs me how much time I've spent on that app. I mean, which just goes to show how compelling a product it is. Right. And I respect it because I'm like, wow. I mean, if this were boring, and if I wasn't getting value out of it, I wouldn't be here.
Right.
It would be like watching one TV show for 17 hours a day. I mean, you're gonna love it. But I don't want to be a robot, just like and just staring at the screen all day. I want my life back, and that was part of the coming out of the depression. Is like, okay, let's live while we're alive. And granted, I do break that rule sometimes, but that's another great thing that I've learned from getting better mentally is it's not about perfection. I've always strived for perfection my whole life. I thought that I wasn't valid until I was perfect. And the problem is then you're never valid. So now...
Perfect doesn't exist.
Yeah, better and worse. More good steps or not. But going in the direction of the positive.
Yeah, always.
Yeah.
Always. I still can't believe that you literally delete Instagram every day and re-download it every day.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if I really were good at this, I would just, which is how it started, I would just download it to post my picture or video, and then after posting it, then delete it again. So essentially, you're just using it as this service to get your content out, and then letting it go. It's scrolling for like a few minutes after that to see what's up. I mean, I have to know what's going on.
Well, I was going to say, I also think just as a journalist, there's value in doing a quick scroll to see like what the hell's going on. And because you may literally be asked as you walk into your job to be like, hey, did you hear the story about XYZ? And at least you can be like, I saw something about it, even if you didn't really read about it. So yeah,
but what's
there's
great
value for you.
Is that if people who have like a desktop at work, you can open Instagram on your desktop at work. And so it's geographically in one place. And so when you leave your office, you're also leaving Instagram because you're just looking at it as a web page. And so if you don't access it on your phone, you just use the phone to post, you view it on your desktop, then it just kind of becomes a part of your job. And that, I think, is a healthy place for social media so that it's not your life. But that's just my take.
But then how am I going to be held accountable for going to the gym?
Right. Well, you're doing that just fine.
Be like, yeah, but I'm a Leo. I need validation.
Let's work on that.
It's what isn't that? Wait, this wasn't a therapy session. That's not what this was.
I think it was.
This entire situation was about.
We're gonna explore that for you now.
We're okay. Well, we're gonna do a mini series on that one because that literally that good God, my brain is a fucking weird place. In the best way possible. That's why I host a podcast or co-host a podcast. It's June, which means end of school, start of summer, and National Dairy Month. You know we love dairy. Milk, cheese, ice cream, shakes, all of it. But did you know dairy is a great source of nutrients for our bodies? There's calcium, great for bones, vitamin D, which so many of us are lacking, plus potassium, protein, B12. Honestly, dairy's got more vitamins than I can list in this spot. So this June, visit floridamilk.com or lechedeflorida.com for info on all the benefits of dairy and several delicious recipes to make every month National Dairy Month. So, I just want to, again, we're about to shift into our end segment here,
Yes.
which, as we know, this is actually the last of our partnership with Florida Dairy Farmers. June is National Dairy Month. And as a result of that, instead of giving it, I know, cheese is so good.
Cheese, milk.
Bring it on, like everything. Yeah.
Okay, hold on. How did I not realize that you were wearing a Got Milk t-shirt the entire time we've been talking?
Listen, that's okay. You walked in here and walked right by the Needles' cage like 3 times before you even... And you noticed because I brought it to your attention.
Right.
Yeah.
And I did not... I feel like I've been looking at the shirt, but I didn't really look at the
You
shirt.
didn't register. Like, well, there's a microphone in front of me, too. I'm going to help you out here. There's a reason. Your Needles is behind me. She's drawing all the attention.
Right.
That damn hedgehog.
She's really the star of the podcast.
I mean,
and
she
the
is.
sooner you realize that, the better.
Well, actually, this fall, she's getting a spinoff.
Okay, good.
Yeah, it's just called Needles Drinks Water, and it's just going to be that noise that they heard earlier.
Sick.
Yeah, for 45 minutes.
You should sell that.
It's good.
It's white noise.
The saddest part is it would probably be so successful that it would make me depressed.
Are you one of those people who puts on white noise to go to bed?
No.
Okay.
No,
I'm not either, but I know a lot of people who do
No,
that.
I fall asleep to TV.
Ah, okay. You're one of those people. Yeah.
For
That's a lot of people.
For some reason, though, lately I've been falling asleep to Faye Dunaway movies. I don't know how this started.
The only problem is that you wake up and it's still on. And there's something a little disturbing about that. Because I fall asleep, not on purpose, but I fall asleep on the sofa all the time.
That's where I'm falling asleep, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's not like a planned move, but it does happen.
But I will tell you, Faye Dunaway movies, better than melatonin.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I'll look into it.
It works. I don't know what it is. I think her voice is just oddly soothing for somebody who's kind of cold.
Yes.
Yeah, it's an interesting place for her to occupy in pop culture. But no, so I was saying, so instead of doing a last soda, we're doing last milkshake, and every week we have spotlighted a different milkshake, and you can find the recipe in our show notes. And this is the last week of June. Next week is Independence Day, so of course we're going to be handing out today. Our last milkshake is going to be a 4th of July milkshake. Since it ends in June, I want to get it in. I want to get this festivity started a little earlier than if we were to wait. So as our guest, I will let you go first if you wish to hand out your milkshake
Abraham
first.
Lincoln.
As long as it wasn't at the theater, we're good.
We love Abraham Lincoln. No, I'm just kidding. No, mine.
That'd be great if you just were dead ass serious and you're like, I'm giving my last milkshake to Abraham Lincoln because it's 4th of July and he's one of the founding fathers, and thank you. And just end it there.
Mine is going to be Charlie XCX. I'm bringing it back up because this has been a very dark podcast. So
and Needles has done her damnedest.
And I will say, because she just dropped her new album, Brat.
Yep.
And I've been listening to it. I was actually listening to it on the way over to your house. And it's phenomenal. I mean, it's so fun. Her version of pop is so hard Berlin nightclub. I mean, it's just giving everything. And she's kind of ironic. Her lyrics are playful and serious, but not. And I just think she is a genius. And this album is so good.
Everybody's listening to it.
It's very good. And she has a remix, a duet, whatever you want to call it, with Lorde, where I don't know if you've heard this song, where she talks about, and it's a remix to a pre-existing song, but she talks about her insecurities as related to, Lorde's success and celebrity and how they were always compared to each other. And she didn't know how she felt about that. And maybe she was inspired by Lorde, but maybe she also hated Lorde. And it's just very honest and very raw and very vulnerable. And then she has Lorde on the remix to respond to that. And then Lorde saying, well, I had no idea that you felt that way. And it's I'm like, wow, you're listening to the song. And it's just so... I don't think I've heard... Maybe the only other song I can compare it to is like The Boy Is Mine. Remember like Brandy and Monica would...
But that was fabricated. This is real. Yeah, this is like two people actually having a conversation. That's crazy.
Although I will say, every once in a while I can name drop. The time that I was interviewing Monica, back at the Huffington Post in New York, but no, and I asked her about that, but she said the feud was real. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, no, I believe the feud was real, but not over a man. Yeah.
So anyway, so the song is great, and I don't know why I'm blanking on the name of the song, but it's something confused. I don't know, it has the word in there somewhere, but it's great. And so I give the dairy, what is it? What are we calling it?
The last milkshake, the 4th of July milkshake.
The last 4th of July milkshake. Shout out to the dairy farmers in South Florida. Charlie XCX.
Well, very well deserved. She's one of those people that I want to like more than I do, and I know that I'm the problem.
Same. Like I've always liked her from afar.
Yeah.
I've always loved her songs. And when they come out in the club, the bar, it's great. But it wasn't until this album that I was like, let me just listen to the album, because everybody's saying that it's great.
No, but the people can't stop talking about it.
Yeah, it's very good. Very good.
Well, that's awesome.
What's yours?
So my last 4th of July milkshake, it's in the same vein. We're in the realm of music. I'm going to give mine to, in my opinion, one of this country's greatest treasures.
Anna Nicole Smith.
Well, okay, now I got to change it. No.
Just that name just came to my mind.
And you know what? The fact that that's the first name you had at the top of your head just really solidifies why I invited you back.
My humor is so random. I just like to pull things out of nowhere.
No. Your humor aligns with mine, and again, that's why you're here.
Okay, good.
But no, so mine is National Treasure, Linda Carter.
Okay.
Now, I think I've probably given Linda Carter a last soda in the past. She's Linda Carter. I could just end it right there. But she's also Mexican American. For those who did not know, her mother was Mexican. But she is a singer. She puts out songs. And she last week put out a single called Pink Slip Lollipop.
That sounds good.
It sounds very like throwback 60s girl group, but like if it was done today, which it was. Mm-hmm. And it's just about how like she's given her man like the pink slip, but like it's like a pink slip lollipop, like here, just sucker, take it, and go away. And it's kind of a girl power anthem, and it's a cute little song for the summer. It's very bubblegum pop. But she's been doing a cabaret act for years. Like she tours all the U.S. doing it. Like whenever New York Comic Con rolls around, she always does a show there. And I've loved her. I know she has a place down here, around Surfside, I think. And this song, it's just such a little earworm. Like when you listen to it, it will burrow its way in there. And then you'll find yourself just listening to the chorus and just going over and over again. And, and it's Linda Carter. Like, who doesn't love Wonder Woman, right? Yeah. At the end of the day. So, my last milkshake, again, it's a 4th of July milkshake. Linda Carter, Wonder Woman. I mean, Pink Slip Lollipop. How can I not just give it to her? And I'm kind of infamous on the show for giving random ass kudos at the end. So this will be right up the alley.
I interviewed her once, too. Actually, here for Deco. Yeah, at the Bass Museum. There was
I went to that exhibit.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
I went to that exhibit, yeah.
Yeah, she was amazing. And she was so vulnerable when we talked. She actually started to tear up in the interview.
Oh.
And when that happens as an interviewer, it's just one of the biggest compliments, because you feel that person feels safe with you. Mm-hmm. And she was talking about her life and her struggles and mental health struggles.
Yeah.
And she was just fully present with me. And it was the most beautiful thing. And she's a beautiful person.
She's in Amazon, so she's not going to age.
Oh my gosh, she's stunning.
I mean, she's got to be in her 60s at least. I mean,
she could have been 20s.
that's what I'm saying. She's got
She looks amazing.
by a lot chronologically, she's got to be in her 60s. But you look at her and shit, tell me she's not 45. You know,
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
Great person, great success, great talent. And I'm glad that you gave her the milkshake.
And now I'm with someone who's met her, so I feel like I'm 1 degree away from her.
Yeah. Well,
Yes.
do your milkshakes bring the boys to the yard? Or?
They do sometimes.
But you have the boy. It brought
the boy to the yard.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, that's a powerful milkshake.
And then I locked the gate.
Right.
Yes, that's what you got to do. It's quality over quantity. Yes. Yeah. Well, it's a lesson Khalees did not learn because it's all the boys. Like, that's too many boys, Khalees.
I think we got to wrap this up. I don't know where it's going.
Well, who the hell does anytime? But listen, again, so listeners, I hope you listened, laughed, and learned. I think we had a little healthy mix of.
I think we had some jokes in there.
Yeah,
we definitely cried, but
we definitely listen, it's funny you said about like the crying, because I pride myself on a couple of interviews I've done where the people have started to tear up or cry, and I kind of pride myself on like, okay, that means that we're having a good conversation. So the fact that you said that too, I'm like, okay, it's not just hubris. It's part of the gig, right? But so listen, laugh, and learn. And as always, don't forget your pastelito, your croqueta, and your milkshake. And Alex, thank you again for joining us for episode 304. I can't believe it's already been like an hour that we've been talking.
Who gets 305? Do you realize you have the 305? Well, yeah. Who's it going to be?
Okay, I know who it is.
Oh, is it? Aha.
I know who it is.
It's who I think it is, right?
I think so.
Okay.
I think so.
Yeah.
And I didn't even plan it that way.
Okay, that's fabulous.
I didn't even plan it that way.
Get ready.
And now it all makes sense, and I'm a genius. I'm gonna take credit for it. But yeah.
But this episode is going to end on a death drop. So you promised it.
I did. I just had to take the headphones off first.
If I remembered how to do one, I would do one right now.
What do you mean remembered how to do one?
How do you do it again?
I'll
do it. I'll do it.
A death drop?
The sound will make the mic.
The problem is that I don't want to have to be the reason that like your Channel 7,
my
coworkers.
My pinky toe is broken.
No, I know, but I don't want your Channel 7 coworkers to show here to report on you having injured yourself or broken your skull on my floor. Like, I don't. That's not how I want to wind up on Deco. Okay,
how does it,
at
is
all.
This even connected to
it is connected. It is connected. And if you fall, you're gonna pull all of this down.
How? It's.
Oh my God!
What do you do?
I wish I would. He's about to fly. I don't. Why are you flapping your hands? Like, what is happening here? This is.
Oh, I remember. It's like.
Okay, wait. Should I disconnect? Oh my. Okay, he did.
He did it.
Y'all, the best way to end end of Pride episode, he did a death drop, and I wasn't even recording it because I was so worried that you were gonna bust your head open on top of your fucking pinky toe, like that I. Oh, and that's how we're gonna end it.
That's a wrap.
Alex, that's a wrap. Alex is the death drop.
Good night, everyone, and good luck.
Pero Let Me Tell You is co-hosted by Darian Borges and Ismaeliano, produced by Ismaeliano, and our theme, Pero Let Me Tell You Freestyle, is composed by Michael Angelo Lomlaplex, the official gay guy. And don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review on iTunes.